All right. Welcome to the Friday Night Mix Show. Is my shake. Do you like my kids?
It's the dark shades for me. I guess because you couldn't wear recommended glasses, so you thought, why don't I go ahead and wear, dark shades and just match. You're just trying to twin with me. I get it.
Why are you
Yeah.
throwing shades on me, gentle
What
lady?
about what?
Because I'm wearing shades. Why are you throwing shades on me?
Oh my,
Nice.
okay, okay.
Yes,
I see
yes.
what you did there. Oh yeah, nice, nice, nice.
All right. It is the Friday Night Mix Show. And let your friends call your friends. Let everybody come outside. It is time to have some fun tonight with my humble self and, of course, the beautiful and the one and only Lami Ibels. I don't deserve her now. Hey, I love that. How was your week, Lami?
It was great. It's such an amazing. It's been quite a week. Busy, 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 but yeah, very productive, very fruitful. I am grateful. See what I did there?
Mm, I see. I see. I see. So anything
Yeah.
in the news like we normally would do.
Anything in the news? What's in the news is still the Canada budget. That's still the one. I mean, I said it's the news today. Funny how that's it concerns us, right? And it was so interesting. They took a poll and they wanted to know, the heartbeat of people, how
Mm.
they felt about the 2024 budget and all of that. And it just looks like the attempt at the Liberal government to win the hearts of people isn't exactly working. We're still behind in the polls, so that was quite interesting. Yeah.
Interesting the way we do politics in this part of the world, right? Like it's usually policy based or it's result oriented. Basically we're like, what did you do when you're in government, or what did your party do when they were in government? And eventually, it's, oh yeah, we did this. We're able to achieve this. Numbers are always data is always useful
Yeah.
at that point, right? And people vote based on that.
Mm.
You know,
You're right. I saw a particular interview where the opposition party, the leader of the Conservative, was being asked questions about what he thought with what was going on with housing. The housing crisis is one of the biggest talks right now, and what the current government is doing to mitigate it. In his opinion, that plan is not exactly going to be effective, is not going to solve the problem. And
hmm,
what I found interesting was at every turn, with every question, he was quick to say, with the Trudeau government, with the Trudeau government. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. He just wanted you to know, look, everything took a backseat or, a downward spiral, if you will, under the
hmm,
current government. I mean, I'm not trying to get political or anything. It was just, what he said and all. It was just pretty interesting for me, I think.
yeah, pretty interesting. And I mean, tonight we've got some, great, great, great personality in the house.
Oh,
But before I
amazing,
bring him on,
amazing person.
can I say that again?
He's an amazing, amazing person. Yes.
Amazing, amazing person. So I just realized that I might not have put it on my Facebook. So I'll try and link it to the Facebook so that we can have more people in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of our adverts, and then while we do that, I'm going to connect to the Facebook so we could bring in our guest tonight.
Sounds
All right,
amazing.
don't go nowhere. If you're watching on YouTube, we're still here. We'll be right back.
My foray into acting started right from when I was 8. The first thing I ever did, if you are conversant, was Tales by the Moonlight. And then I got a few roles on Tinsel.
Why did you come to Canada?
I came to Canada because I was searching for opportunities to expand my career and also to provide options for my family. I went back home last summer, right? And when I left in 2014, the question you usually get would be, you have such a great job, you make tons of money, why are you leaving? But when I went back last year, the question, you have...
Can we come with you?
No, you have tons of money, what are you still doing here? Like, people who are in Nigeria, everyone's asking, you have tons of money, why are you still here, you know? Don't get me wrong, Nigeria is still a great place, but it still has lots of problems that need to be tackled, and it's pretty scary for people who are unsure of their futures.
Folks, you need to get one.
This is real. Hello, I am Omar Dalo, actor, producer, voiceover artist, and founder of Handcuffs Entertainment, and this is my journey.
All right, so welcome back to the show. We do now. See, I've connected back to the Facebook, and people are now. Hello, Studio to Oluwayomi Bayo Atoloye. Thanks for joining. Please make sure you're sharing, you're liking, and you are subscribing. Well, you are the number one fan on this show. So. All right. So is it time to bring in our fantabulous and very own guest?
I agree.
Lami, are you not feeling my shades? Can't you feel it?
Let's just pretend that I can. Yeah, let's go with it.
So I'm pretending that you can't see my. All right. No, I'll let that slide. I just imagine, but you know. Hmm. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Yami has something for you. Let me say, real to Lami. She, you know.
There you go. Thank you so much. You're the best. Mwah.
Right. So the person I'm bringing in tonight is a minister of the gospel. He has been in active ministry for about 2 decades, most of which has been active pastoring of 2 expressions of a renowned church planting ministry in Nigeria. His professional background is in broadcast journalism with a work history on television and radio back in Nigeria. He's passionate about helping people live out God's purpose for their life. He's married to one wife and has 3 wonderful boys. Together, they recently relocated from Nigeria to Canada in furtherance of the life's purpose and calling as a pastor in the Petra Church here in Calgary. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not busy, make welcome Pastor George Eitayo. Don't you feel like giving me money without introduction, sir?
I'm telling you. I was trying to look who you were talking to. Okay, then I figured when I heard my name, I knew I was the one you were talking to.
So,
Good evening.
good evening. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Amazing. Been looking forward to this moment at this time. I'm excited. Glad to be with the amazing duo of Fola and Lami. It's
And
interesting. I enjoyed your.
Lami.
Sorry, you say what?
The nickname I gave her, Lamios,
It's
Lamicious Lami.
Lamicious Lami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to find out how that came about, but I'll just work with. I'll work with Lami. That works for me. That works for me.
Welcome to the show, sir. See you in happy. If you're joining the show, make sure that you're liking, sharing, subscribing, leave us a comment. You know how we do it on the show, right? And we will be leaving your messages and with the one and only Pastor George Eitayo. It's good to
Right.
see you, sir. Most of us
It
call
is.
you PG. Do you know why that
Good
is?
to see. I don't know why that is. You tell me. since
Or,
there's a story behind it, you tell me.
well, there's a story behind it. It's just that we call you PG because we want it to be short. Because some of us don't know how to disrespect elderly people. So we're like, let's just shorten it into Pastor George, just PG. You know, that way we
Just
can have
to
it
protect
to
protect you from disrespecting.
exactly. Exactly. Let me, do you have any question? Let me have you shoot the first salvo to the man of God. And don't forget, that we're talking tonight about relocating to Canada at 40. And I like what you
Mm,
put up, Lami, right? You're like, it's tough enough to relocate. Imagine relocating at that age. It's
yeah.
really something that you wouldn't look forward to. But what are the ways that we can, you know, make it softer for us, even if we still want to relocate after a 40? Lami, let's have the first shot.
Well, thank you so much for that. It's great to have you here, Pastor George. I mean,
Yeah,
I've had
I
the
can hear you
privilege
very well.
of interacting, and yeah, you are an amazing person, and we thought this was a very interesting and relatable topic, immigration. Luckily, on this show, we're all, I mean, three of us here, we're Nigerians, so we know what it's like back home and then coming to a new country. So tell me, this is usually the first question, the shock, the change. What were the first set of things that hit you? I was like, okay, I'm no longer in Nigeria. What was that like for you?
Uh, Let me see. um, I mean, I'm thinking. So, I mean, a couple of things, right? Several things will hit you over different timings and different periods. But I think one of the most basic things, initial, immediate things that would hit me, is the fact that, I mean, shortly before I left Nigeria, I'd done a trip from Abuja to Lagos by road, just an adventure. It was a bucket list I decided I was going to actualize, and I did achieve it with my family. We drove down from Abuja to Ibadan, right? And then I get here and realize that, I have to relearn how to drive again. And my
Mm.
son usually jokes with me when he says a thing like, because I failed my first road test, and I remember the comment that the lady said. She said, "I now Fola, I'm going to have you sign, a document to ensure that this doesn't come back to haunt me in the back because I don't really trust you on that one." But anyways, so she said, "I deem you unfit for the road." I'm like, "What?
Oh my
Me?
God.
Moi?" You know. So that was one, and of course,
Wait, PG. Do you know how you even feel when someone say, "I deem your car unfit for the road"? Not to not talk of you deem me as a human
me,
being. A whole me that
even
been
me,
driving in Nigeria for like 265 years.
So occasionally, when I get to the particular spots now, when I drive past that place, I'm still relieving the PTSD from that experience. So my first son and I, we banter on it, and when I say, he just laughs up. So that was one. And then the fact that you really have to read through things before you engage. You can't just sign up for something. You can't just engage a service or a product. I mean, everything comes with a contract document, and all of that. You have to read and terms. I remember, I think on my first mobile line, there was a particular bill, the billing that came in, and I was a little confused. And then I realized when I went back to the store where the thing was set up, the guy just pointed me back to the document. And I realized, oh boy, we don't read things before we set things up back home.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, a couple of those here and there. Weather was another thing. I would pride myself as someone who likes cold.
You
When you see
think.
the original,
Welcome,
cold,
welcome
you
to the land
realize
of the
that
code. Welcome to the north.
you don't know what they call cold yet. So I mean, those are like a few things that hit me. Otherwise, I'm adventurous by nature, so I could easily just swing into an environment and start to explore. I came with a very open mind to learn, observe, and
Mhm.
adjust. So it was just me just going through a couple of things, and of course, how it is that one of the another exciting thing for me is the fact that you can just about almost set up anything from the comfort of wherever you are. I mean, setting the boys up for school, having to find a place to live in was just that. And of course, there were a couple of narratives that I came in and experienced a different dimension to that.
Mm, mm,
Social support was excellent for us in terms of relational capital that helped us to settle in was amazing. From people we had known before and then family that we met here, and of course, your pastor and his wife, and on account of the years that we met him through, amazing. So when people talk about Nigerians out of the country are not nice
mhm,
and all of that,
mhm, mhm.
that's a different narrative for me.
Right,
That's not the
right,
same. I've had
right,
excellent experience.
right. Right, right.
Yes.
And I do love that. And I think we're going to circle back to that. But just talking about shock, I'll tell you something interesting that happened when we got here. We moved here
Yeah.
in 2019. And so we had this TV. We hadn't gotten, so we had Netflix, and then there was this other TV, I think it's called 2B or something. So in between, it used to have adverts, right? So before the screen transitions from, because it was free, right? So they would do adverts, right? So when the screen is transitioning from whatever you were watching to the adverts, it goes dark. And I tell you what, for the life of me, every time that happened, it took a while. I think they cut the power.
Wow.
It goes back.
Wow.
You know how
Wow.
after watching TV in Nigeria, and when they cut power, it goes dark. So that one
Right.
happens, but it's really temporary. So it took a while for me to regulate my mind, or recalibrate, if you will, my mind, to think, oh, hey, it's not
Right.
actually them cutting the power, it's just transitioning to other. It was so, so crazy. I'm like, oh my God, the PTSD from Nigeria.
What about this one? What about this one that every time you buy something in the store, you are calculating with naira?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so I just bought a shoe for 200,000 naira. It is amazing.
I know. I know.
So let's take it this way, because I feel like you're the right person to answer this question, right?
Hmm,
Moving from number one, did you move
hmm.
after you were 40?
Yeah. Technically, yeah, I did.
Okay, I know why. You know what
Did
I say
you
things like
did
that.
you guess or you did your background? Which
I
of
did
the
my
two?
background. I did my background, but I just wanted to ask on live condition. You know, so moving at that time, what number two questions in there. Number one, why did you even move? Why did you move your family? And the other part of the question is, was there more shock after you'd moved, or you were ready for it? You had made up your mind. That you said you were open minded, right? But were you when you landed, the things that hit you were there more than the things that you were expecting?
So I'll tell you this. I'll tell you
Hmm.
this immediately for that. I remember we arrived this Sunday, and a few days later, I had a meeting with someone, and we had a conversation. I'm going to come back and answer your question about why I moved, but I had a
Mm,
meeting with someone in the city, and we were having a conversation around the reason why we had come into the country, and he was breaking it down, and he meant no. He was being very honest. He was being very kind, and he was being very generous with information, giving his own experience, giving his own history, and giving he's been in the country for a long time, and he broke it down, and he just laid it out, everything on the table. This is it. This is it. These are the standards. These are the requirements. These are how things. This is how things pan out here, and all of that. Now, I kid you not. I got home that day, and was in the night. I just went into the room. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I'll confess to you, I thought to myself, you know what? If I could have found a very
Hmm.
good flight deal, I would
Wow,
you
have
go
been
back
on my way back to Nigeria
to
that day.
Nigeria.
wow.
Mm,
This
mm,
is exactly 2 days after,
mm,
or
Hmm.
just 2 or 3 days after I arrived. Because
Wow.
now there was nothing sinister, nothing dark, nothing
Hmm.
wrong, nothing.
nothing evil about what he said. If anything,
Mm,
it was very factual, and he was encouraging me, but it
Hmm.
was an overload of information.
Hmm.
mm,
And it got to me, and we were like, what have I gotten myself
so
into?
yeah.
Hmm.
Now, that was one of a number of episodes like that,
Mm,
But I try to be that sincere to say that. So that came to me like, oh my God.
Hmm.
But I went back that night and I had to rehearse the
mm,
reason we came in the first place.
right, right.
And once I rehearsed that reason, because it
Hmm.
wasn't a flippant decision, it took months. It took
True.
months. I'm saying it
Okay.
took months. Now, given my background, basically as a believer, as a person who is in the ministry, preaching the gospel, as far as personally, it comes down, major capital decisions comes down to the will of God for me. I need to know I'm doing what God wants me to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's the reason we came here in the first place. We came here because we were very persuaded of God's instruction for us to move
Okay.
into this country. And even when all the signs were in front of us, you know, I I worried about it a lot. I was not ready because I built social capital well over 2 decades. I mean, friends and family, and
Mm,
now you're going into a place I wasn't sure of
mm,
who I was going to catch up with, what the reality there was like. And because I'd had opportunities to travel out of the country a couple of times, and I knew people who were a lot of people out of the country, and I knew people who were true, who were sincere, who would tell you the reality, not people who fabricate stories. So I had a sense of what life outside was like. And
mm,
now going into that setting
mm.
and to start ministry, which is why we came, start a church here. I'm like, Lord, who do I know? Who am I going to have to pull in to work with me and all of that? It was looking like a complete ground zero. So just to answer your question in simple terms, I had that experience where it was an overload,
Mm.
but I rehearsed the reason I came out in the first place, and I realized that we don't back down from challenges; we rise up to it. So let's go head on, and here we are, and we're still trudging on. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's a beautiful story. I still want to go back a little bit to that question, right?
Mm, mm,
Yeah, you said you answered it. It's ministry.
mm,
The reason
mm.
why you came here is because of ministry. And but was it only because of ministry? Was there any other reason why you came here? Economic reasons, you know? Because yeah, I really appreciate what you said about building social capital. It's tough, right? Your community, your social structure. If you've lived 40 years on the face of this earth, at least from when I was like 10, I still have friends that are my friends when I was 10. So that's like 30 years of
Absolutely.
serious relationship that you've
Yeah.
you've built, and
Yeah.
not only even on the social aspect, on the business part also. And then
True.
you have to just let go of all of that because we deceive ourselves sometimes. I remember telling my wife that don't worry, when we land, I'll go back to Nigeria. I have to go back to my business. If you are thinking that way right now, forget it. Forget
Mm.
it because it's not going to work,
Because
especially
things
when
are
you're
not the
married, right?
same.
So you move and you just come here and you have to start all over again.
Right.
How is that experience for you? Because I know you set up your church now. We're going to go into that. But how was that experience of starting afresh,
Yeah.
making new friends, even getting to even know your way around? Someone telling you stuff like you're not fit for the road. What is that person even thinking in this life that is telling you there? But wait,
But
let's
like you have
let's
to
ask.
just go and just you
Did you
have to
drive
just
down
drive
full
the
style for
field.
them?
Do I
Jonathan,
what?
Did you drive down full style for them in the
I'm not going to tell you what I drove because now I'm going to give you more ammunition. So stay with the one I've
right?
told you.
He was just naming the company, if you will.
No, I'm not going to give it to him. It wasn't
Mhm.
even driver's Dafo style. It was one of those pedestrian right of way, and I didn't even see the pedestrian. I didn't even know where the guy showed up from. Then I then I almost beat a red light. You know,
Ooh.
the lady went red light, red light, red light.
Wait,
And
didn't you
then
ask any Nigerian before you went for that road test? You didn't like
honestly,
ask
I mean,
anybody.
I didn't ask anybody.
I'm asking. Did you ask
No,
anybody like,
I
I
had
want to go and do my road?
people who helped me out, but the thing is just that you know how it is.
You
You
said
know,
you blood.
I think when I was going to beat the red light, I was so conscious of the maximum speed limit. I wasn't looking at the lights. I was looking at the
Mm.
speed limit, you know, on the
There's
side
a
of the
lot to
road.
take note of. Yeah.
Yes, then you know the turning on solid to the to the right or to the left.
Ah.
Where
Yeah.
me, I
Yeah.
thought Lagos style, the car is so fast, Gori Wale, that kind of thing, and
Go for
then
it.
the
Wait,
thing
wait, wait.
just bumped. I just saw the
You
lady
know,
said,
back in
"Hey,
Nigeria, when we drive to work, me and my wife will tell me, Mike down for your wole, Mike down for your wole, Mike down for your wole.
that's
Every
it."
time we drive in the morning, she will always tell me I should not allow the downfall person to enter my front. When I was going to do my road test, I had to just tell myself, you are not in Nigeria. You
You're
are
the
not in
downfall bro.
Nigeria. You are not in Nigeria. So I
You
can feel
know,
your pain. I feel your pain.
I
Mm,
know. So I mean, just again to answer what you're saying,
mm,
honestly, if I was going to make that decision off of rational thinking, Lamid,
Mm,
off of rational
mm,
thinking as a
mm,
person, put in figures together, naturally, this is
mm,
not my best move.
mm,
Yeah, it's not my best move. Naturally thinking, right?
mm,
Yes, of course. We can speak to the advantages on this side of the world, the
mm,
opportunities available for us, our kids, our children for the future. But like I
mm,
always said, even before I left the country, it's a good argument to say we're doing this for the kids, and it's a fantastic argument. But
mm,
honestly, before the
right.
kids is you. You know, you're not going to zero in on them exclusively. You've got to have a life. I mean,
mm, mm,
there's an awareness I have. There's a sense
Mm,
of fulfillment that I need to have to feel to be able to give them the best. So rationally, and I can give you a basic reason for that. I have a very, very, good background in media, right? And I had to, resign off a ministry I worked with for a couple of years to step out afresh. Now, say I resigned from that ministry as was necessary in my journey in purpose. If I needed to have a stopgap between doing something while I started up a new ministry, I had all of the plugs I needed for radio and television. Okay. Whether I was doing voiceover or whether I was consulting or if I was presenting, or I could jump into
mm,
a radio station and I had doors that could open up just like that. I
mm,
wouldn't go in it because the Lord would say don't go in, but I had those doors. Now I'm coming here. Understand the fact that
mm,
transitioning, even attempting to think that you want to move into a broadcast in this setting, you know how you have to go through another shift to
mm,
be able to go into that. So I'm saying to you that honestly, and I kid you not, that the primary reason was because the Lord spoke to us.
right.
And of course, inherent in that will be other benefits and blessings of being here. Okay, meeting you guys is a blessing. The two of you here,
mm.
all of those will be derivatives of obeying that singular thing. And
Mm,
I will say this that I've never now somebody could say, oh, because you're here, you're speaking like that, but I don't think it's right for people to shame others because they live in a
mm,
country. It's
right.
wrong.
Right.
I don't think it's right. People have been migrating forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whatever
Abraham
anybody's
migrated.
conviction is, it's his or her own conviction. If you had, I mean, sometimes some of the people who probably shaming others, if they had the opportunity, they won't do it. So,
Mm,
but that's not to speak
Word.
to whatever the motive is. So that's really it. And like you said, and Fola touched on a very, very important point.
mm,
Coming here, it's ground zero, literally.
mm,
from start again
Mm.
in a system where things work, where there are procedures, where there's process, where there's laws, and
Mm.
where laws are,
Obey.
effected and
Mm.
effective. You stand. I mean, like I said, that was the moment I had was one of several moments. And I remember having, been a conversation with a couple of people, and honestly, I had moments where, because of my hectic schedule back, in Nigeria, traveling and visiting people and preaching here and going for meetings here. I remember in a particular season where I would literally have this imagination. I was driving some of my regular routes because I lived in Abuja before we came here. That's where I was pastoring. My regular routes in Abuja, I would have those imaginations, see myself go to some of my, regular coffee places and all of that.
Mm.
And I had to say to myself that I think I am grieving my departure from Nigeria because
Mm.
that was the thing. We grieve people. People, we lose people that we grieve. But
Mm.
sometimes we don't realize that when you leave a place where you built your life for years, you grieve the departure of that place.
Mm.
And between departure and being established in a new space, you need to give yourself room to breathe. And
Mm.
that, and I had to allow that and say, you know what, I miss Nigeria, but I'm here. I ain't going
Mm.
back for now. I'm here. So I'm just saying that, yeah, everything different. Oh boy, it was something.
Mm.
It was something. Honestly,
There's something.
it was
It is.
something. It
Mm.
was something. But
Yeah.
I think I'm in a better place now. We're in a better, we're in a better place, right?
Mm. Mm.
Do we have to
Yeah.
go through that four stages? The loss, the grief, and all of that.
Did I
Hmm.
have to go through it?
Do we have to? Because I'm thinking about it now. I remember when I came newly too. So it's always a, I miss Nigeria, I miss Nigeria, I miss my friend. I would always call them and all
Mm.
of that, right? And subtly, I'm beginning to get used to. I still told my wife that I'm going to Nigeria this year. Maybe I'm still grieving myself. I don't even know. Pastor George, will you pray for us
No,
so
that's
that
nice.
we can get through, or something we have to go through. You cannot pray that one out. You have to go through the process and let it get out of your system. Let me quickly ask you this question before I leave. Allow me to ask a question.
Mm.
How is setting up a new? I don't want to call it business because ministry, right? How
Mm.
has that experience been for you? Because I know
Mm.
you set up your ministry recently
Yeah.
as an immigrant coming into the system. Did you get um, funding? How did you go about it?
So in terms of, I mean, of course, like we said, you know how it is that you can just about set up anything from the comfort of your system and your phone, whatever. Of course, incorporating your ministry name, incorporating the ministry, having to set up the process to register with as a non, as a charity organization. And no, I don't have funding yet as of now. We have the goodwill of those who are part of the church right now, who give, and we're working at that pace, at that level, learning that things are stage by
Mm.
stage.
Mhm.
And the reality, my reality, is not lost on me in sense of knowing where I'm at now in this
Mm.
country and whatever advantage in terms of maybe people I know, people I don't know. I'm acutely aware of my reality.
Mhm.
So I don't have false expectations at this
Mm.
stage, but I have great expectation
Mm.
the future. What I mean by that is I don't imagine that, we're having a conversation last week on Sunday, and we said the scripture says, for instance, don't despise the days of small beginning.
Yeah.
But small beginnings are relative.
Right. Right.
It's relative.
Mm.
A person's coming in from Nigeria with lots of word, coming here and could buy a house. It's a start. Someone else comes in and he's living in a basement apartment. It's a start.
It is.
Someone comes up and lives in a condo apartment. It's a start. Starts are
Right.
relative. Know
Yeah.
your start, but then understand that the possibilities are endless if you engage the right process, engage the principles of growth, and you're determined about it, a clear vision, and a couple of all of those things, number of which you know. So, um, no funding. We've got people who give into the to church,
Mhm.
in terms of um, offerings and donations, and we work with that, setting
Mhm.
up a space where we use and getting a couple of the equipment and the gears that we use to run our services. And I'm not going to try to match my operations at this stage with someone who's been here for 2 years or 3 years.
Right. Right.
I'm not going to try to match my setup with that person. I'm not there yet.
Mm.
It's people that make the church. It's not the building nor the gears. So if you go out and you're like, oh, these are the gears, as fantastic as they are, but you don't have the
Mm.
people, right? Then you're going to have nothing to fall back on. And at the end of the day, what's ministry about? It's about people. So that's one end. And the other end is having that critical mass that you want to kick off with to be
Mm.
able to now begin to reach out to people
Mm.
and minister the gospel to people and steward your gift and your grace to people.
Mm.
Yes, it's taking time,
Mm.
but we're very hopeful based on what God has told us, and we keep building and trusting God to be able to make very strong penetrations going forward. It's not a sprint, it's not even a marathon, it's a life race.
I like that. Yeah. It's beautiful.
What's the What's the hurry? Let's do it, as and let things go stage by stage. So I like to remind myself and say, we kicked off in January. And one time I was thinking and I said, well, if you expect a 3 months old or 4 months old baby to be running, you have something else coming. So either you're
Mm.
giving back to this kind of children in some parts of the world, there's something else is coming. So, I
Mhm.
mean, but again, everything takes time. Uh,
Yeah.
And time is what we must allow for things to mature.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Beautiful. That's very beautiful. I
Mhm.
was listening to I think Tom Hanks one time, I think it was a roundtable talk, and he was saying that this too shall pass,
Sure.
and then one of the things he said was time is your ally,
Mm.
whether joy or grief or sadness or whatever emotion, it passes with time. Somehow time makes everything better. Somehow, you know. And like I said, I want to circle back to people
Right.
because if there's anything I found is the import of people here.
True. True.
And people with regards to community,
True.
people with regards to information.
True.
When you were talking, you said somebody loaded you with so much information, like I'm out.
I'm telling you, I
Literally,
can't even deal with this
yeah.
stuff.
Which is amazing because I remember when we first got here, I was going to the grocery store. The grocery store was really close to the house, about 5 minutes walk or so. And I saw this guy was Nigerian. He was riding a bike, and of course, when you're new here, you're looking for someone like me. That you're trying to see what in a place where you're a minority. I never felt like minority till I got here. And
Right.
so see a Nigerian, all of a sudden they look different to you. And it means something different to you. So I see this guy and I say, hi, we got chatting. And the next thing he started telling me all the things how long he'd been here and how everything was not going as planned. How Nigerians here are mean, how something you know, as it
Yeah.
was going through one ear, it was going out another. Because I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna be my story.
Sure.
I don't know what you're talking about, you
Mm.
know. But all of a sudden, normally, yeah, maybe I'll take his number and think, oh yeah, we'll chat. It'd be nice to have. But I just knew that, you
No, you
know,
didn't want that
I
one.
couldn't. That was it. I'm not sure we ever saw each other again because and I don't think it's a bad place. I just felt like, no, this is not the energy or the vibe I'm
Mm,
looking for. So that's where my question is from when it comes to community. How do you build community when you came, and how's that been for you? And when it comes to information, who do you go to for
mm,
information? And how do
mm.
you sieve to determine, okay, I hold on to this, and yeah, I'm gonna let that go, you know?
So as it is, I mean, you know that you would the possible for us, for instance,
Mm,
the couple of people we'd known
mm,
from back home, from back in Nigeria, and who had been here, and so once they knew we were coming in, a couple of families, and all they were excited about it because of my uh, what my opportunity to serve as a leader back in Nigeria as a pastor
right,
had given me opportunity to serve a
right.
couple of people. And so some of those people were here already and we maintained relationships. So you see, the thing is this: personally,
Mm,
I'm big on being relational.
mm,
It's a thing for me.
right.
It's effortless for me in a way.
Mm,
The other day I walked into the store with my son. As I was walking to the store, I noticed two Nigerians, a Nigerian couple with the children, and I saw them, and our eyes, made contact, and I approached, and I saw the two kids, just maybe about 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and I gave a fist bump at them. They responded, and I tapped fingers, and I started talking to, the father and the mother, and by the time I was leaving that conversation, I had his phone number.
mm,
My son said to me, "Dad, how did hello arrive at exchanging phone numbers? I'm
mm,
wondering what you were like as a kid." I said, so that was a learning curve for him. I said, this is
right.
the way my father was as a kid.
Mm,
Mm,
He had a big personality. If he came into a place, he sucked it up, and he was very engaging and relational.
mm,
He could speak different languages in Nigeria at the level of pleasantry of hello, good morning, and he would jest and he would gist, and he could relate with the high and the low in a way that everybody was comfortable. So I took that off him. So that
mm,
is it for me. So for the most part, when these guys left Nigeria, we were so much in touch. I have friends like Fola was referencing that date back 3 decades that we've been together, grew up in the neighborhood together, play football together, went after each other. Those kind of friends you have where you walk yourselves home and walk yourselves back
yeah.
again to your house, walk yourself back home again.
right,
And then you
right.
get to a point and say, "Oh yeah, go
Okay,
home."
you go. I'll stay in the middle.
I'm going.
You two go.
Those kind of friends, I stayed in touch with them all the years. So coming in here, and some of them being aware that I was around. I mean, they came around. My wife also had friends that came around, and once they heard she was in town, they moved in quickly to say, "Oh, what do you want? How we could get this here? You could do this here. You could do this here." And just like you said, from the airplane,
Mm,
from the flight from Toronto down here, that
mm,
was where we started having a sign of good human relations from Nigeria
that's
Mm,
cool.
in the aircraft.
Mm,
If like you only is the converse. If I see that woman again, I'm not sure um I could remember what her
mm,
face looked like, which was very
mm,
generous.
mm,
She said, "Oh, because there were serving meals on the aircraft," and she said, "Look, um, we're going to need your card to make this purchase, and I could give you my card so you could make purchase for your kids."
mm.
We were meeting her at the point of check-in, and she was
Wow.
that generous. And as we arrived here in Calgary, she was walking and she turned back and said, may the land prosper you and may you prosper in the land. And she walked away.
Mm, mm.
And quite frankly, that from that moment, people who were bending over backwards to help us do things, So I think that he who will be a good friend should also show himself friendly.
That's
that's
right.
right.
That's right. That's
It
right.
should, what kind of investments have you made in the past in terms of
Mm.
investments in relationships? These
Mm,
things, they circle back to you in a certain.
right, right.
They do. So it comes down to as a person? Are you intentional about relationship and about being relational? And like, there's a quote I'm working with right now. I don't ever forget that when you're nice to people, don't remember, but when people are nice to you, don't forget.
Mm.
Even though I've lived that way, but now there's a line that I can work with. And so it's about honoring and also knowing that, hey, reality here is different from back home.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
It's the truth. Reality here is different from back home. And it doesn't mean that people are mean here. It's just that the reality is different.
Mm.
I mean, back home, your brother, your sister comes in the midnight, is home. I'm not going to tell you, you didn't even tell me you were coming. He's home.
Mm.
He goes, he takes a spot in your house. You know, bills, your bills are annual bills.
Tell
In
me
fact,
about it.
in fact, annual can pay
Eh?
your house rent 2 years and you forget.
In advance.
Mm,
Here it's monthly and all the things that are attached to it. So so you have to understand. So I'm not going to place so much demand and expectation on people. Whatever mile they can go for me, I am eternally grateful.
Mm.
And my principle is to pay it forward,
mm,
ensure that someone else in that situation, I want to help the person also.
Pastor John, talk to
mm.
somebody who is 40 tomorrow and is about to relocate in September to Calgary, number 52, Chestermere Road in Chestermere City.
Are you prophesying?
Lami, I don't like the way your face is looking. Please change the look on your face. Thank you.
So, I mean, what do we say? First of all, is your convictions. Whatever your reason is, be very clear about it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Be very clear and have sufficient persuasion, okay? Because decisions are tried. They will be tried.
Right.
That decisions will be tried. That's number one. Be clear about your reason. Whatever the reason is, it's your reason. You have a right to have your reason,
Mm.
or be clear and make sure they're very strong reasons, okay? Secondly, is be as informed as possible,
Information.
especially be as informed as much as you can
Mm.
about where you're going, and understand where you're going, what the reality is there. Ask as much questions as possible.
It's possible.
Ask as much questions as possible. You cannot over ask questions because you will get here and find out. And then in asking those questions and being aware of what life, in Canada is like, depending again on the province you're going to, prepares your mind. Okay. Um, you're coming into a place, you probably need a landing spot for a few days or a few weeks before you get your own space. Understand that that comes with its own challenges.
It does.
It doesn't matter how much space the person has.
Mm.
Understand that it comes with an extra. They're not trying to be, mean. It's just the reality. It's just it. And what you will get into it and find out that that's what it is. So in a matter of time, you'll find out. Now, another thing is we talked about the social capital, which is key. There has to be a part of you that is open to reconnecting and having an attitude to learn. You have to be adventurous and reconnecting. Friends back home may not be, may not just be able to hang out anyhow, anytime.
Mm.
Uh, it comes with a lot of things. People have work hours. Work hours determine the money you're being paid and money being paid bills. So you have to understand a lot of those adjustments. Okay. But realize that it's going to shake you on whatever
Yeah.
level. It will shake you. It will shake you. A lot
Mm.
of things will be different for you. You're coming into society where things work, and there are a lot of good things about it. Like I said, the fact that I can say, I mean, the other day my son, you know, wanted to pass a message across, goes to the school office to make a call. Hmm. And when they put a call to me, and my son is talking to you, I'm like, that's a system that works.
Right.
Who's calling who? you know, the office you're calling, you're never picking the line. How much more? So there are
Mm.
a lot of good things, and I think I need to put this in here for now.
Mm.
There's a projection that people put out there that says, "Oh man, this relocation thing, my God, is this, is that." And people usually respond to them with, "If it's that bad, book a one-way ticket,
And
come
come
back."
back.
Ah,
But nobody does that.
Mm.
Is it tough?
except for
Change is
brother.
Yes.
Brother,
tough on any level. Like a friend of mine will say, and every now and then he'll say, the only place that you probably can relocate to and not find it tough is heaven.
Is it like like you just rest? Is that what they say? Rest in eternal yes. Hallelujah.
That is peace forever.
And you don't have to come back.
You can find it. But any other place on this terra firma called Earth, I mean, moving from being a bachelor to being a husband comes with its own demands.
That's right.
right.
Lami will say, moving from being just a
Spinster.
married woman to being a
Mm.
mother comes with its own demands. So
Mm.
change comes with demands.
That's right.
Right. Very
But
right.
that's what growth is about. You could
Mm,
either decide to stay stagnant
mm,
Mm.
because you're afraid of challenges, or you
right.
face it head on and you're going to be better for it.
That's right.
Mm,
Before you know it, I've had the privilege of changing jobs back home.
mm,
Every time I step into a new place, because I was in the media for the most part, when I step into a new studio, I feel lost.
Mm.
I don't know anybody in the studio. I don't know
mm,
anybody in the station. Very few people, one or two people.
mhm,
Give me a quarter in, 4 months in. That's history. I've forgotten that I didn't know anybody when I came.
Mm.
Everybody up from the point of entering into the office, hey, can I have my report? Can I have this document? Can I have that? And I'm going off on air, and everything is now second nature.
Mm.
Change can be unsettling at an initial stage
right.
with the
Mm,
right reason,
mhm,
right frame of mind, and
mhm,
right relationship, and people who will tell you the truth and be sincere with you and supportive. If you
mhm,
have those, then you're braced for it. And in a
Mm.
matter of time, you also become a veteran telling other people, oh, this how to
Mm.
do this how to do that.
That's right.
right.
You know. Yeah. So that person who's turning 40 tomorrow,
Yeah.
if you're feeling persuaded to live, you will have your unsettling moments. It will be challenging for a while,
True.
but in a matter of time, all of that will be past. It's like a
Mm.
person who's pregnant, in labor. It's like, oh, I'll never do this again. Never. This is the
Yeah.
last. I ain't doing this anymore.
Yeah.
That baby pops out. It's like
Then the
amnesia.
next one.
You
Yeah.
forget that entire pain. So the
Mm.
initial stages can be like that. But after a while, you'll forget about it.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm. Mm. Deep. That one is deep. So he that is traveling and relocating here tomorrow, well, thinking about this, uh, and you are thinking of coming in September. I can see it. I feel it.
mm,
And you are 40 years
very,
already. Just know that the changes that you're going to experience is going to be
mm,
challenging,
mm.
but it will be worth it at the end of the
True.
day,
Yeah.
right? And that's what PG, PG, why did you do like this?
That's now deep.
That was that, I mean. All right.
But the
So,
the
you say
comment,
what? Let me
the,
say what?
the comments. You can read the
Oh, yeah,
comments.
yeah, because I was, yes, I was, in fact, yeah, my spirit. Oluwale Pastor says, for me, the first cultural shock was seeing a lot of women driving. In fact, do you know that I've not seen any man drive those school buses? Has anybody seen any man driving those school buses? Those large, long
Now you're
school
saying it.
buses.
Okay, maybe one or two I've seen, but
I've not. I only
more
see
women.
women driving those school buses, right? So it's real cultural shock for me too when I saw that. Like, I knew women can do anything they want, right? But just seeing them driving those long buses, because typically for me, women are like, I want to just drive small car. This guy is too big. This guy is too big. He's SUV. You know,
And the F-150s too. You see a lot of women on those
I
F-150s.
see them, so those are cultural shock, right? And it says it was strange at first until, of course, they got used to them. Um, okay, this was from when they said you're fit for the road. And Yomi said automatic disqualification for you moving into lanes and all of that. I mean, you can still drop your comments and your questions if you have any. But before we go, sir, we play a game on the show,
Hmm.
and it is called the Trivia Game Show.
Hmm.
All right. So we're still on the Friday night mix show. Before we let you go, it's just 5 minutes to the end of the show. We'll be asking some questions. We just want you to answer to the best of your knowledge. And we're not asking you Bible questions. Sorry. Because I know you're expecting Bible question like I'll finish Bible question. No. We're asking you questions about every other thing apart from the Bible. Are you ready?
Whoa.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
Or you can ask for, I'll give you options. So if I give you the question and you feel like you don't remember the answer, I'll give you two options. You can pick one from it. So let us go. The first question is a question from uh, science.
Hmm.
Mm, 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 mm. How many teeth does an adult human have?
How many what?
How many teeth
Teeth. Teeth.
does an adult human have?
32.
32. Correct. Pastor George knows this book. All right, next question is still a question from science. And the second question is what is the world's largest ocean?
Mm.
What, like I said, you can ask for options. I'll give you two answers and then you can pick one. What is the world's largest ocean?
Indian Ocean.
Is that your final answer? You can call a friend. Then you do 50-50. Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
That's the final answer. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer to what is the world's largest ocean is the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific
Pacific. Oh my
Ocean.
God.
All right, so we'll move on to the animal trivia. The animal trivia, I'm sure
Hmm.
this one is quite easy. How many bones does the shark have? How
Hey.
do we
Options.
have? You see?
Options.
Options. Two options. The first one is 20 and the second option is 0. How many bones does the shark have? 20 or 0?
How many bones?
Does the
The
shark
shark.
have? That big shark.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm, mm.
I'm
Take a
trying
time.
to take a gamble.
Take a count. Go ahead.
0.
Is that your final answer?
It's a gamble.
I didn't ask, I didn't ask if it was a gamble. I asked if it's the final answer. Even all our guests, all our audience that will be sending answers, see all of them, they are quiet today. Let me share you can see. If it's Bible question now, you see the answer. We'll be giving you answers. I said today we will not ask Bible question because it will be too simple for Pastor George.
It's
Is that your
very
final answer?
intentional. This what you are doing is very intentional.
Right.
Don't worry. The Lord will have mercy on you.
Amen. Amen. I
Let's
receive
stay with
it.
zero. Let's stay with zero.
All right. If you
I
stay
mean, I
with
would have learned
zero,
something,
I am
whatever it is.
sad to announce to you that you are absolutely correct. The shark has no bone in its
Come
body.
on.
So you've got two answers from three, and we're going to five questions. If you can get four, you have a prize that you would win tonight. Who
Okay.
was the first black president of the United States of
Really?
America?
Really?
Well, that's the question we have here. We have got to history trivia.
It's Barack Obama now.
Barack Obama, and that answer is correct. Barack Obama is the first black president of the United States of America.
Okay.
The last question, sir, this is the question from still history.
Mhm,
History question.
mhm,
Where was so you passed three out of four. You need to
mhm,
pass four out of five to
Okay.
mhm,
win. And I'm
mhm,
not bringing hard, hard question.
mhm,
You said so
mhm,
for the second one.
In which country did the Olympic Games originate? Lami, why do you know this? You have no idea.
Like no, none.
Olympic game,
Olympic
Athens,
Games. In what country does it originate from?
Greece.
Is that your final answer?
It is my final answer.
Why are you angry, sir?
I'm not angry.
Okay,
This is my
your
final answer.
countenance,
Why are
your
you challenging me? Why am I angry? Why are you upset
your
with my upset?
countenance
Is
have
it your upset?
changed, you know. But is that your final answer, sir?
It's my final answer.
So you do go with Greece. If you had gone with Italy, you would have been incorrect. The correct answer is Greece. All right, sir,
Bola,
you won yourself a very wonderful gift on behalf of the Friday Night Mix Show. We will be communicating with you and we'll be giving you the gift. Thank you so much for joining tonight. It's been a great night
thank you guys.
to be on the show. God bless you. We've come to the end of the show. Do
Amen.
you have any final word for our audience before you go? People watch a lot from Nigeria, all around the
Right.
world. Any final word for them?
I mean, I would just say that as long as there's life, there's hope.
Mm,
Meaning that every new day presents itself with new opportunities for you to get better, do better, and
mm.
explore new things. And I think I also want to leave final words for both of you. I think you're doing very great.
Thank
I
you.
love this. It's very interesting. Reminds me of what I did back on radio, but it's beautiful. It's exciting. I just want to say that you can only go as far as you guys can see. And
Thank
this is
you.
just the beginning of great, great things to come for both of you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
George. Hey, Tayo, it's been great having you on the show. Let me any last word before we go.
I want to say thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you. You give so many beautiful words of wisdom. We're gonna take it away, and we trust that our audience will too. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for coming. And on that note, it's been a fantastic night at the Friday Night Mix Show. Do have a pleasant weekend to all our audience and to our guests. Thank you so much for coming, Pastor George. God bless you. Have a great night.